All right, here we go. Yo, yo, yo. What up, though, man? J. Maul Green, activist, politician, you know what I'm saying, in the building, Chicago representative, Chicago native, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm feeling good. Appreciate you for having me on.
Hey, no problem, man. You know what? I'm excited to sit down and hear your journey. Having a chance to research you, and it's a lot of great things that you're doing, especially being such a young man and accomplishing so much, man. I'm so excited to sit down and talk about those things. So let's just jumping out, man. 26 years old, ain't you gonna run for mayor?
I am 26. I have been very critical of the mayor. So it is something that I'm going to look at this year very, very closely.
Got you.
We need a certain type of leader that really understands the problems, and we need somebody who's going to get up and fight for the people to get some results. I think we continue to play into the titles of folks, and I was a prosecutor, and I was this in the White House. And we have seen throughout the years that means nothing, because these communities need someone who understands the problem enough to move forward solutions, or at least will have the passion to solve them and put the right people around them. And that is something that we haven't gotten. So I have to look at it. I think that it's a calling, just because too many people are suffering. 4,000 people a year being shot, kids are being, they don't have hope in these communities. I mean, these communities look like ghost towns, and we're at a point of no return. And if we don't have a certain type of leader to turn this around, we're going to be in some real trouble.
Definitely understand. Now, for those who, of course, are going to come up and say, well, you're 26, you haven't even really lived much yet. What makes you qualified to to take on such a major role and responsibility?
Well, first of all, I think that the mindset has to change about how people look at government representatives. And the reality is it doesn't matter what fancy titles you've held. It really matters the type of leader that you're looking for.
Gotcha.
And right now, at this time, we need a leader who's going to fight and prioritize the issues that matter to the city most. So when you look at my background, I didn't have the fancy title many years, but I got up when a Chase Bank didn't lend to black folks, and I stepped up and fought them and got $1 billion over the next 5 years. When I stepped up when they're to raise the home ownership rate, putting people in homes, showing them they can own something in their community, and putting stakeholders back in the community. Small businesses, mentoring youth, put the guns down ambassador when I was 18. When there was a problem in the community throughout the years, I was on the front line to bringing forth a solution to solving them without being mayor, without being in an elected position, without having a fancy title. So when it comes to that, I also, on the other side, where folks talk about managing, I balanced multi-million-dollar budgets, created thousands of jobs. I know how to run a large business, have ran large businesses, and still run large businesses to this day. So as far as managing, leadership skills, the passion for the community and serving, I think all of those are a recipe for a great mayor outside of somebody who just got a fancy title.
Got you. Now, being critical of Lori Lightfoot, like what are some of the things you feel like she's dropping the ball that you feel like you will bring to the table that's different?
Well, I think the mayor has dropped the ball since she got in. She came in and she promised so many different things. She promised to be a change representative, an outsider who was going to be a voice to outsiders. It didn't happen. She came in and started ruling with iron fists and couldn't collaborate with people. She brought in folks all across the country to come work in Chicago and run City Hall and don't even understand the city and how government works. How Chicago government works and how our city, they can't even GPS. They have to GPS each and every day to get around the city.
Right.
And so she saw that she felt that there wasn't enough talent here in Chicago to even bring into administration. And I think that's a large reason why our city is in shambles in all of the different departments. When it came to COVID, her responses were very harsh to residents. When it came to COVID relief dollars, she gave $280 million to the police department in overtime, spending over $2 billion a year on police since she's been mayor, and have not shown that type of investment in these communities. So essentially, she really came in office and really is ROM 2.0, and just got in and continued the same systems. No real change, no real systemic change that we can see in these communities that we can see some tangible results. It actually has gotten worse. It's gotten to a situation where, youth when you look at the schools have gotten worse in regards to kids. You got 30 kids still in the classroom. You got lack of after school programs. You got kids being put out left and right, going to the streets, joining other folks who relate to them when it comes to coming out of a broken household or coming out of a broken school. Then what the city do? We arrest them, we throw them in the juvie, and now Lori is talking about getting rid of electronic monitoring and get rid of bond, and she's talking about suing gangs, but she's not talking about real tangible investment so that we can change the realities of people in these neighborhoods. We could not continue to throw police money and throw more police at the problem and come out and say prosecute, prosecute, prosecute. You have to be a mayor and really understand that we're in a situation where there's been decades of disinvestment, decades of oppression, decades of systemic oppression with all of the different systems, and it's not going to change overnight. And so we got to spend years prioritizing the real problems, increasing the home ownership rate, increasing small business, the small business community throughout these neighborhoods. Increasing our investments in after-school programs, increasing our investments in mentoring programs that are attached to CPD. Instead of sending them to a record, they should be sent to a mentoring organization to help put them on the right path. We got to rebuild these neighborhoods, invest in programs that's going to help change mindsets. And then when folks come out of jail, we got to invest in programs so that they can get resources and be productive citizens instead of committing crimes again. We have to interrupt the cycle. We can't just step back and say, let's just prosecute. And that's essentially the type of leadership that she has shown.
Got you. So speaking of community, man, bring us to your community or what it was like you growing up that helped mold you become the man and the leader that you are and the activist that you are today. What was that upbringing like for young J Maul?
Well, young J Maul went through all of the things that the folks out here that are committing crimes I went through, right? And that's why I understand it. I come from poverty. I come from Gresham, right on the border of Inglewood, watching folks being shot, in my community, almost being shot, looking out my window, watching people shoot at cars. This was my reality, right? Single mom, gas, lights off, she has to provide for me and my two sisters. I'm the youngest and the only boy, and she had to do it alone. Kicked out of 9 schools. I went to 12. So constantly going into CPS schools, getting put out, going to a different CPS school each year. I went through a lot, grandfather with mental health problems. So when you talk about all of the different issues that really need to be addressed, I was that kid that saw them growing up. And so that's what gave me the passion. So when the Laquan McDonald video released, for example, it gave me the passion to go out there and say enough is enough. And when I spoke and talk about our real life experiences in these neighborhoods, it caught, it just went like wildfire because I'm really just speaking from the heart. I'm speaking from what I went through. I'm speaking from being traumatized by police. I'm speaking from being racially profiled when I got my first car at 16. I'm speaking from seeing the violence. I'm speaking from going to school and having silent days because my friends and one of my friends got killed the night before. All of these different problems that we're facing in neighborhoods, that the young people are facing in neighborhoods today, I've seen it. And so that's why I have an understanding of how to fix it and how to interrupt the cycle. And for me, it was mentorship. When I got to being a teenager, it was Simba Camp. You know, it was a camp that I went to in the summer where mentors showed young men how to get in tune with their emotions and be vulnerable and express themselves and get into trades and do wood shops and be good with your hands and speak to brothers who went through the same problems. So I had Simba Camp and I had different mentors who would spend time with me that I would talk to that would be there for me. And that's what a lot of young people out here are missing because, like I said, my mom was holding it down alone. So that means that I didn't have mom a lot. Mom
Right.
working. Mom got to work to try to keep a roof over our head. So I don't have mom to talk to when I'm in a traumatic experience, when I go through something at school. When the only time that she mad is when I got suspended and kicked out, and she got to try to take off work to come and get me, So I didn't have mom and I had mentors, luckily, when I became a teenager. And that's why we need so much more of it.
No, absolutely. Now, being that we in the culture right now, especially Chicago. So Chicago hip hop has, a lot of people say, it's probably one of the most influential demographics within the last 10 years on hip hop, especially a lot of people accredit it to Chief Keef. And the world began to see, and at DJ Academics, the War on Chirac, his commentary, and the world was introduced to the gang culture or the violence of Chicago.
Right.
And you start to see the mimic. Like, I'm from Detroit, but I live in Dallas.
Right.
And you see, like, Fort Worth, Texas, like, the word ops became popular because of Chicago. The word outside became popular because of Chicago. You start to see places, pockets start to emulate and imitate the Chicago culture.
Right.
What percentage do you blame, like you said earlier, the community, as far as the lack of resources versus hip hop music and just the influence on violent culture within the inner city of Black people?
Well, this is what I'll say. What I'll say is that this is decades, centuries of oppression that has ruined the mindsets of the Black community. And you can trace it all the way back from slavery and before. And throughout the years, essentially, they broke up the family structure, making it to where nowadays there are 70 to 80% households, Black households, that are led by women. So we got a break in Black family structure. You have a situation where we were stripped of everything, so we don't look at each other like we're brothers and sisters, right? So we think everybody is a competition or we're each other's enemy. We look at each other differently because of all of the systemic things that have happened to us many years ago that just continue to be passed down. We're in a situation where we have to really tackle the way we think. And now what has happened is the music industry has taken advantage of that. The music industry knows about all of the mistreatment and oppression all of the years and why we think the way we do, but yet they are trying to profit off of trying to control us with the material things and how they can benefit, the CEOs can benefit from the labels to the Gucci's to the et cetera, by giving certain people money to get out there and do a certain type of music that can influence a certain type of individual in the communities who are going through each and every day survival mode and oppression and hoping that they can be a rapper because that's all that they see.
Right.
So with all of the problems that are tackling the community, people are trying to find a way out. And so they took advantage of that and said, okay, we're going to give you a way out to speak these different things in music, and we're going to promote it and put money into it, and we're going to make money off of you guys. So essentially, the white supremacists in the music industry has played a role, right, in everything and exacerbating the problem, definitely. And I think that, when you look at the young people that get into it, that get in the music industry, you really can't blame them from falling right into their hands because they're coming from the hood. They've never seen $1,000 at one time, without doing something illegally. They're watching their mother struggle. They don't have a dad. The schools kick them out. The only people that relate to them is in the streets, and they trying to find their way. They should not have to grow up that way. They should be able to grow up and be like, I want to be a doctor, and I want to build an electric car, and I want to be, successful in the world. But instead, they're forced to think this way because of the conditions that they were born into. And now the music industry comes and say, well, we'll give you a record deal, or we'll put money behind this type of music, drill or whatever the case is, or, you threatening somebody, whatever. Like, they'll benefit off of that, knowing what the end result is going to be.
Got you. So, like, when you hear an artist diss the dead, because also a lot of people would attribute that to Chicago as well as popularizing smoking the op.
Right.
I'm older, so, and me and Mama Duck was talking about this off camera. Is back in my day, Tupac. It was a good thing. It was never a good thing, but it was a kind of a code of honor, or homage to smoke your homie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was one of those things Tupac said, cremate me and all my homies roll me up in the blunt and smoke me. But now, this whole idea of smoking ops, and then you have people from outside that doesn't live here, like NBA YoungBoy,
right,
diss all of O Block. Like, when you see those things, like, how does that make you feel, especially when you see somebody from the outside talking about smoking the entire neighborhood?
Yeah. No, I hate it. I really hate it. I looked at this last trend with the money, with YoungBoy and Dirk, and it really hurts me that we're in this position where they can get into these beefs and they can diss each other, and folks under them is really gonna go out there and try to attack the other, and it's just gonna go on, and we're losing so many talented rappers.
Gotcha.
So many talented artists, so many talented people who could be, they could have done way more beyond music, and we lost them because of nonsense. I talk to rappers from the city, big rappers from the city all the time. And I invite them to my house. They come hang out with me, and I talk to them about this. And the reality of the situation is, I really hope that we get to a point where we understand that we are above the beef, and we can make our money, and we can invest. I'm trying to teach that world, the real estate world, the financial literacy world, the business world, where, like, let me show y'all a world that they don't want y'all to be a part of, because they just want y'all dissing each other and shooting each other and killing each other, so y'all albums can be #1 when y'all dead. This is just disgusting to watch, and I think that at some point we can get to a better place.
So let's talk gun policy. What, if you were to be elected, what would you do differently when it comes to gun policy that hasn't already been attempted? And then with that on top, Wisconsin and Indiana being at your border that has such lenient gun laws, like, how do you tackle that and try to reduce gun violence in Chicago?
So, two things. Number one is the city don't have any influence over guns. It's a federal problem. Okay. So, the most that a municipal representative like a mayor could do is fight the state and the feds to move forward certain laws, which they've been trying to do many years. We have the strictest gun laws in the country in Illinois. I think that, there's some things to talk about as far as how these guns get in the community, right? When we look at the trains and ATF need to do that. Like, we need to really look at how these guns are ending up in the community and start to crack down on that. And the reality is they are coming across the border, and a situation where we have no real control unless the federal government steps in. So the reality is that there's not super much that a mayor can do to stop the flow of guns, right? And we must do more to make it a situation where folks don't want to use them in the wrong way. And so that's more of the mayor's job, and the mayor can fight for policies, for common sense gun laws, and fight to try to make it a situation where these guns can't come across the border as easy as they do. But we must start to make people productive citizens, and they can get a gun card and use guns in the right way as far as going to the gun range, whatever, they are afforded their right. But if we invest and change the mindset of the next generation of young people, then they won't grow up and try to get access to guns to kill people. And so we got to focus on the actual problem. And I don't think that just because there are a million guns that everybody's saying, oh, I love these guns, let's go shoot people. I don't think that's the mindset. The mindset is bred out of many different things that end up being, retaliation or a forced situation where folks will utilize these guns. And so it's not necessarily a gun problem, it's really a people problem.
So where, if I'm hearing you correctly, so you feel like more guns, the things that we're seeing is more of a symptom of the real illness, and that's the increase, the lack of resources, jobs, things of that nature in the community.
Right. The guns just help. That's just the icing. All of these problems happen, and you just give them the weapons to go crazy. And that's essentially what they did.
Do you think in the media though, like Chicago, like every city has crime and every city has its issues. Do you think Chicago is overrepresented violently in the media? Like what the public get to see on the outside is kind of hyper over. I mean, I guess sensationalized than what really is going on here.
Well, I think that we got to recognize that Chicago is, the best city in the world. The best city in this country, definitely. And we got to recognize that we're the third largest city. We got to recognize that many cultures take from Chicago. When anything happens in Chicago, we're usually the first ones. When it comes to music, when it comes to art, when it comes to many different things, Chicago always sets the tone. So everybody looks at Chicago, which is why it's really up to us to get it together. And we are the most segregated city in America, okay? And so with our rich history of segregation, of project buildings, of, corruption and all the things that have happened throughout the years of Chicago, it makes Chicago that place that people really look to. And now the music, right? And the music artists, it really makes Chicago a place that people zone in on. Plus, we do have a lot of murders and a lot of problems here. Other cities do, but never as much as Chicago when you look at other major cities. You look at Los Angeles, you look at New York, a few hundred murders, 300, 400 murders. Last year, we got 800 murders, right? And we're the third largest city and we're bigger than both of them. So I understand why Chicago, gets really picked through with a fine-tooth comb, and that's why we do have to set the tone. We got to step up and move forward models to change in what's going on, so that other cities like New York and Los Angeles and other big cities can really look at us for what to do.
Now, when Donald Trump was in office, he did offer Lori a lot of help, well, federal help in regards to violence, to help the violence in Chicago. Do you think the help that Trump was trying to offer to Mayor Lightfoot, do you think it would have helped? Or is this, we still treating a symptom?
Well, Trump was definitely trying to toot his, he was just trying to really help himself with the publicity. But we do need to work with everybody.
Yeah.
The city need to work with the county and the state and the federal government. The reality is the federal government don't have much control over a city based on America's laws.
Right.
But what they can do is move forward. When we talked about common sense gun laws, they can move forward policies in regards to that. They can move forward hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to help with infrastructure or to help with community ills. These are things that we must ask for the government for. Just like right now, it makes no sense that that the red line goes to 95th when there's a whole other part of the city that don't have access to transportation. It goes all the way to 130th Altgeld Gardens, right? And so how does the train end at a certain place in the city and where tens of thousands of residents that are Black don't have transportation to get access to downtown and other places? So that's a federal government. We need help, right? Because we don't have the billions to be able to do that. So we need the federal government and the transportation secretary to move forward money so that we can extend the red line so that the rest of the city can have transportation. So It just depends on the problem that we need help with. We ask them for money. We ask them for laws that we think can help, and that's how they step in. But outside of that, the mayor controls the city, and she controls the police department. She controls the budget and all of the different departments that come along with a 17 or $20 billion budget, depending on the year. And so, at the end of the day, we got to do our part. And when we need support, we need to ask for it, and we need to take it, no matter who's in that position.
Now, coming into being a mayor is one of the most unique times ever to be a politician, because not only are you tackling, whatever's going on in your individual cities, but we are still battling a pandemic.
Yep.
What's your stance on the handling? What do you feel like Lori did wrong handling the pandemic in Chicago, and what would you do differently as a response to COVID?
Yeah. Let me first say, no elected official saw this coming. And that's where I do empathize with Lori on. She did not expect to get in office and be hit with a pandemic. But what I will say is that what the pandemic did was it showed the type of leaders, period, around the country that we have, whether from Congress on down to mayorship. And it showed what your priorities really are. When people are paying attention every day because they get sick and they're dying, what are you doing to help alleviate the pain that the communities are going through each and every day? And so what Lori did was Lori always moved forward. Lori always fought people, then collaborate with them. For example, the teachers union, right? She fight the teachers union. She won't shut the schools down when there are cases are running rampant. So the governor has to step in and does it, right? And do it. When there's a situation of funding and federal government move for COVID money down, instead of putting millions more into helping small businesses, she'll rather put mandates on them, right, and make them the vaccine police in a situation where they're losing workers because of the pandemic. They're collecting unemployment that's more than what their job is. So a lot of these businesses have been going without workers, but then have the mandates and the city coming in to inspect them every week, giving them fines, all because they're not checking vaccine cards or being a vaccine police, and that's not technically what they signed up for. So not listening to businesses to really understand how to support them, moving forward different incentives to help those small businesses stay afloat. A lot of businesses have left. Downtown is almost a ghost town. And then a lot of folks who are renting and in these communities and can barely make rent, we could have put together a larger fund to be able to support them. Instead, she gave $280 million to police overtime for them to just go do odd jobs around the city. So, she mismanaged the money by giving them $280 when they already get $2 billion a year. So I would say the problem with her handling of the pandemic is that she didn't put the resources, prioritize the people when it came to the resources that she had. And I think that is what she's going to be held accountable for. Another thing is that her messaging has not been, as mayor, if I was mayor, my messaging would have been very pro-health altogether, not just vaccine-based. We have a situation where the most folks who die from COVID are folks who are obese. We have a situation where folks in the communities are not living healthy lifestyles for a variety of reasons, and reasons that are the city fault, like the fact that we live in food deserts, okay? And we should be addressing that problem. We should make sure that communities have access to fresh produce, make sure that communities have holistic supplements and make sure that we have fitness classes, or we should be doing stuff to really show people how to live healthier lifestyles. So if you do catch COVID, whether you have the vaccine or not, you have a better chance at surviving COVID because your immune system has been boosted. And that is a big reason why a lot of folks have been resistant to taking a vaccine around the community, is because they feel like y'all ain't never cared about us. We don't even have a grocery store in our neighborhood. We are living in a polluted community that y'all done designed for us. Our lead is a problem in the water is through the roof. And y'all trying to give us a free vaccine and just tell us to take it, but y'all don't care about nothing else. And that's how people feel. So as mayor, understanding that you want people to take the vaccine, you must make sure they understand that you care about their overall health. We're going to come in and we're going to change lead pipes, and we're going to move forward finally move forward the measure to help and change lead pipes after all of these years with the problem being so bad now. We're going to provide access to fresh produce. We're going to open up grocery stores. We're going to have fitness trainers that do virtual training on the mayor's website that you can jump on and do workouts with. We're going to care about your overall health, and we want you to take a vaccine to also help you. And if that approach was taken, then we'll have more people that trust the vaccines.
Do you think also just in the culture that we were in with Trump and Biden running for president, and it was just such a heavy divide. It's that hot or cold. You either Republican or you're Democrat. You're either vaccine or you're anti-vaccine. It's like nothing can be
all divide, man.
So do you feel like that has more of a, because like you said, Chicago kind of sets the standard for the country.
Yep.
America tend to set the standard for the world.
Yep.
And you see the same type of vaccine hesitancy happening in all our allied countries.
Yep. And the division is a problem. And that's why we need more leaders in these positions who lead with common sense. Not because you're Democrat, not because you're Republican. Me, I don't subscribe I'm not beholden to any party.
Gotcha.
I'm beholden to the people, okay? And wherever that lies is wherever that lies. We have to bring people together. It's not a one or the other. We have to stop taking harsh stances and understand that everybody has freedom in this country. This is the country that we built, right? This is the values that we set forth. Freedom is number one, right? That is what we always say. This is the land of the free. Understanding that we have set that tone in America, we must make sure that everyone has all the information that they need. Provide the education, provide the resources, provide your expertise and your analysis of it, and let people make their own decisions. And if we do that, I think that Americans will.
Do you think America is capable of doing that? And I say this, and I'm probably going to get crucified because I already had another interview like this, but being a predominantly Christian nation, a Christian ideology is you can't be lukewarm. You either have to be hot or cold, but to be lukewarm, to be somewhere in the center is frowned upon. And so you see that in our country a lot, that we double down on one or another. You have to be this way or that way. You can't be in the middle. To be in the middle is to be lukewarm, and to be lukewarm is to be wrong, to be in the worst position.
Right.
How do you combat the divisiveness that's kind of at the core of America?
Well, you know what? I don't think there's a one side, other side, or middle. I think it's understanding that Americans are smart, right? Understand is that we all have intelligence. We all have we should have the resources and knowledge to be able to make decisions for ourselves.
Gotcha.
That's the type of leadership that we need. Not somebody who's gonna say, this is the stance, this is what I'm fighting for, but to say, hey, these are the facts, these are the resources for your community. Make your decisions and make sure that everyone has access to do so. And I think that what's right is what's right,
Gotcha.
right? And folks would say I'm left for saying we need a $15 minimum wage, or we need a Medicare for all, or we need to get rid of student loan debt, or whatever the case is. And at the end of the day, that's not left, right? That's just what's right, right? These are policies to uplift the people. If we can uplift the billionaires and give them tax breaks and everything else, the people who are the most vulnerable in these communities also need help. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think there's a side or a middle. I just think there's common sense, and we need more people who lead that way.
Becoming a politician, are you afraid that you will lose your credibility once you decide to step into being a politician, because like you say, you get a lot of things done being an activist and being yourself. But becoming a politician seems like somehow people just put on slime. And when they're on this side, they have the best intentions. And it's almost like they fill us up with fluff. But once they get on this side, I don't know if they realize, wait, it's a lot of checks and balances that don't allow you or prevent you to move the way you want. Right. So to the public, it perceives as if you switched up.
Right.
Or you get on the other side and you start seeing donor money and power. Because even the most righteous person can be corrupted by power. Like, if, for example, Ted Cruz, he burns my soul. Because here was a guy who called Trump a liar. And when he was on the campaign trail, Trump a liar, he's a fraud, he's this, he's that. Trump said X, Y, and Z about his wife. She ugly and da-da-da-da-da. And then he licking Trump boots. And he's like one of the most unfired advocates for Trump. Like, are you afraid that going and actually becoming a politician instead of staying an activist, that it's potential you can lose your credibility? Because looking at people like Ted Cruz, who, while we're in Texas, in the middle of this freeze and people power off, he hops on a plane and take his whole family to a nice warm island. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you afraid that you're going to lose that credibility?
Well, you know, I'm not afraid that I'll lose the credibility because I know what I'm in to do. I'm not looking to be a career politician. That's why I'm not running for any of those other senator or state. I'm not running for those positions. Only one position that I care about, that I would even look at, and that's mayor.
Gotcha.
And that's because I know what my purpose and calling is to do, and it's to get in, empower the people, change the state of these neighborhoods, and get out the way. I'm not looking to be a career politician. I'm not looking to hold fancy titles forever. I'm not looking for the South. I'm not looking for none of those things. And I know what I'm set here to do. And if I do that, I think that, you know, there's no way that my credibility can be lost, because I'm going to do exactly what I say I'm going to do, and I'm going to get out the way, build a political infrastructure, and support somebody else. Politics, I don't want to be in politics for the rest of my life. I don't want to be going seat to seat. That's not what I look to do. I look to get in a position where I have enough power to change the state of neighborhoods and go ahead and keep living the rest of my life and take care of my kids.
So before we get out of here, I got to tap in to the youthful side of you. 26, man. You very articulate. You know, so you well put together. But on your fun time, man, at 26, what do you do for fun? Do you smoke hookah? Like, do you game on your Twitch? Do you talk shit to your homeboys? Like, do pranks? Do you TikTok? Like, what's the fun time at 26, man?
Man, you know what? The fun time at 26 for me is spending time with my kids, playing. You know, I play games and hang out with my people or my nephews or my girl. Like, you know, it just depends. I'm a person. I'm a workaholic. I am. But I like to hang out as well. So I go out. You know, I have a drink with people that are close to me, you know, going back home or have a drink at home and kind of just kick it.
Drink of choice. You dark or clear?
Clear.
So you vodka or tequila?
Tequila.
So Casamigos is where you at. Anejo. So here you go. Favorite pair of Jordans. What number? Are you a Jordan man?
I am. Fives.
Fives. Okay. So when people see you out in the club,
I got on J's.
You got on J's?
J's or Yeezys.
J's or Yeezys. Yes. It's a Casamigos. When was the last time you was drunk?
I don't get drunk.
Oh, okay. You stay classy.
I stay classy. I don't get drunk.
But I'll tell you this, man. Definitely being 26, and I hate to keep saying your number out, throwing your number out there, but that's an amazing thing that for you to be in your youth, like being a young man, but have so much ambition, have so much wisdom, and it's encouraging for the future generation. And because a lot of people look down on millennials.
Yeah.
But man, y'all become millionaires off your, well, forget millionaires, billionaires off your phones.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all kind of becoming more borderless, or y'all not living within all the frameworks of boundaries that
Yep.
our parents and grandparents had to live within. Y'all very progressive.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing you sitting here, man, I think Chicago and I think the country, if we got a lot more people like you out there, which I believe we do, like Brother Ben X. Have you ever heard of Brother
I know
Ben
Ben
X?
X, yeah.
That's my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like seeing both of y'all, man, it's hope, man. It's definitely hope. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
I pray
it is.
that everything you touch continue to be a blessing. And man, hopefully we can sit down again when you become mayor and I can slide like, yeah, I know the mayor of Chicago and pull up in here. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully I come in with police escorts.
No, I definitely appreciate it. And everything you said is right. And I think millennials, but most definitely Generation Z, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these young people.
See, I didn't even know it was another one after
yeah, it's
that
another
one.
one. It's another one after. The 16, 17, 18, 19-year-olds of right now.
Got you.
They are like, they're amazing, man.
Yeah.
And I've passed the torch in a lot of my activism ways to them, and they think differently. You know, back when I was protesting, we like, you know, no justice, no peace. They go out 17, they like F12. You know, like it's a different generation. How they like getting radical and more radical, and I love it. You know what I'm saying? And I just love the fact that we're thinking differently. When I saw my mom working that job, and I saw people around me that were just working jobs for years, I was one who was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15. Now I own commercial property, my own home, you know, and I teach other people how to own. You know, and that's what I do each and every day is help build homeowners, help build entrepreneurs, invest in entrepreneurs. You know, I own a spa, solar panel company, marketing company. I go on down the line of what my investments are because I believe that we can be, you know, the Elon Musk of the world.
Absolutely.
And I look at Elon and Jeff Bezos and be like, if y'all lived like me, y'all would have never been where y'all are today. And I want to change that mindset for all of us. You know, don't just print the T-shirt, manufacture the T-shirt. Don't just be the painter, be the mass excavation company, be the site utility company. Like, let's be the developer. Let's develop the building. Like, we need to think so big. And that's the way that we can change the state of these neighborhoods too. If we step up and we start to do it ourselves and build our own power, that way we funded our own politicians and they beholden to us. And that's what I want to see.
Hey, man, well, J. Maul Green, man, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Hey, man, and much blessings to you.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem.